Hello, hello, my beloved waking gods and goddesses. Welcome to Love, Truth, and Beauty. Do it yourself spiritual awakening for divine in the flesh, where together we learn how to surf, hack, and navigate the ups and downs of the totality of human experience, creating a new earth beyond the limitations of this perception managed reality matrix of five senses, having discovered our true divine creative natures and our true sensual sensorial universe of seven senses, composing formless into form outside of the matrix in the true quantum field creation field universe. Before we get started, please do give this video a thumbs up. Please also hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, selecting the all setting so that when I upload videos, YouTube will let you know. I generally upload Tuesdays and Fridays, 2 p.m. Eastern. My name is Maria West, and I am your hostess of the highest, here to download, upload, inspire, and usher you into your bestest and brightest selves, your bestest and brightest light, and inviting you all to open your hearts wider and wider and wider still. Hello, my love bugs, my honey bunnies, my boobalas. Mwah. Welcome to Love, Truth, and Beauty, episode 262. And in today's video, today is a very tender day. I share my insights from my direct experiences and my own process of doing the great work, particularly the shadow work of facing trauma triggers. Specifically, the inability to receive support from others as a trauma response that highlights, my loves, a symptom of loss, grief, and trauma-based mind control, which is often overlooked: loneliness. Yes, that is our topic. So first, let me clarify this definition. Loneliness is not about being alone, okay? Loneliness reflects a lack of meaningful connection to others, resulting in, for myself, becoming the cliché and misunderstood hermit, the lone wolf, the eccentric who lives in isolation. There are a lot of characterizations of me as the high priestess living in her high mountain temple, which in many ways is very accurate. Now, I have a wide circle of friends and colleagues and acquaintances all over the planet, with a core group of lifelong friendships spanning 3 to 5+ decades. Now, these beloveds of mine have seen my life's evolution and various trajectories, all my betrayals, my devastations, my triumphs, my successes, all my accolades, etc. Now, I've been in the public eye as a performer, dancer, musician, singer, and a teacher and a speaker since I was 3 years old, okay? I have an impressive number of social media followers and multiple platforms and multiple profiles over the last how many years, okay? And still, I feel the fullness and the emptiness of being in a fucking barren wasteland, my friends, of vacant talking heads who have no fucking clue who I am, no fucking clue about me, yet seem to feign interest, now, albeit in their own self-interest. I also have a partner of 2 years who is more like me than he is different, and because of his own unprocessed trauma, his capacity to hold the space I require is glaringly absent. And I've come to accept this fact with love and the deepest respect for him, okay? Now, the bottom line is, you can be in a long-term relationship or a marriage and still feel lonely and still feel traumatized at certain points from your previous traumas. You can be outgoing, gregarious, have a ton of people in your life, travel the world, and be the life of the party and still feel alone, still feel lonely, still feel empty, even if your current life fulfills you. All it takes is one fucking flashback. So having a ton of interaction with other people doesn't ward off loneliness, okay? Doesn't ward off the affects of flashbacks. And being alone doesn't necessarily equate to feeling lonely. Now, of whom I am 65% introverted, okay? Introverts mainly recharge their emotional energy by spending time alone. Okay, I put out a lot of energy. A lot of people are drawn to me. Okay, and I got to spend time alone and recharge, which I love. And as a writer, a creator, words and creations don't get on paper or a canvas or in a computer memory file unless I sit and do it, and I do it in solitude. Okay, yet based on my childhood traumas, loneliness and the inability to receive help are huge trauma responses. Okay, now, unlike loneliness brought on by social isolation, trauma-induced loneliness can stem from the feeling that no one understands your pain, and survivors may also be hesitant to speak about the losses, okay, and about the traumas because we don't want to burden others, and we don't want to burden others and share in the gory details, okay, because not everybody wants to hear it or has the capacity to receive it and hear it and hold space. Loneliness can also be rooted in trauma self-protective biology. Traumatic experiences actually alter the brain and brain chemistry. Now, I grew up in a war zone as an immigrant, and I was, for the most part, pretty privileged, upscale Berkeley, but neglectful in violence, sex abuse, incest, name-calling, bullying, scapegoating. Now, my family tribes historically have survived communism and various campaigns of ethnic cleansing over the millennia by one imperialist after another. So all of that is in my ancestral mix to contend with. Now, I've worked through and have managed to live a life of intentional design, and then something happens and I have to wake myself up again, see reality, exit that trauma matrix, enter into my awareness center, and tweak my life by composing it and doing the great work to really clean that up. Now, having a loving and trusting beloved being physically and emotionally present can help someone experiencing loneliness related to trauma. Still, when you have a lone wolf, I got this attitude from having to only rely on yourself for safety, it's most likely for many of you who perhaps still have kernels of that or haven't worked that out to still attract the perpetrator NSP type people, the narcissist, sociopath, psychopathic type people who have zero interest, little or feigned empathy, because in truth, when it feels like we're fighting for our lives, it doesn't serve us to trust others, okay? Especially when we have a history of being burned, being shamed, being ignored, being abused, being robbed, being gutted, or murdered in some previous incarnation, okay? Now, feeling unheard or like you're a burden is a devastatingly potent feeling, okay? It's devastating. And so cultivating a spiritual practice to not succumb to those familiar feelings and triggers is required, okay? Now, the way trauma is, certain noises, smells, songs, and movies, environments, even molds, mildews, pollens, for instance, can trigger traumatic memories, making them feel new as if they are currently happening. This is not fun, kids. This is the nature of trauma-based mind control. Even a seemingly benign garden variety of trauma, in contrast to, say, being kidnapped or sexually trafficked, yet these benign garden variety traumas are equally valid. So don't you dare minimize your pain and suffering, my loves, nor allow someone else, for that matter, to minimize your experience, okay? Now, nevertheless, the amygdala, The center for fear and anger in the emotional brain can be overly reactive to stimulation. So I just want to put that out there. I don't want y'all to dismiss it, but it is a fact. And I cannot tell you the innumerable times I've been triggered back to my personalized war zones and longed for comfort. And of course, me being the quintessential listener, the act of asking for help has been my undoing, and it is an ongoing challenge for me to go to. It's not automatic. I have to really think about it, hem and haw about it, and I have to feel relatively confident that the person I'm going to ask for help is going to be there. Now, many of our friends also want to be heard and to empathize. So you asking for their help sometimes is often mistaken to them as an invitation for them to share their experiences. But that is often, more often than not, ill-timed, particularly when you are the one in the deepest excruciating pain and your beloved or friend, in their attempts to hold space, launches off into their story. Okay? Yeah, that is a no-go zone for me. Okay, so for me, because that happens again and again to me, I've essentially given up, and I've, chosen to pay people boatloads of fucking money to listen to me uninterrupted. And this, I've recently realized, immensely pisses me off. So I've had to really engage my go-tos of hitting and kicking my 100-pound punching bag and hiking in the high desert mountains and foothills near my home, baton and taser in hand. Don't fuck with me. Now, much of the time, I sob. I don't give two shits what my neighbors or passersby think. I just go there, okay? Now, self-care and self-soothing techniques such as quiet meditations, breathing exercises, breath practices can be antidotes to the fight or flight responses aroused by trauma flashbacks. Now, this physical response of the adrenals shooting out stress hormones causes our hearts to race and our palms to sweat, brings on dizzying sensation, pushing the nervous system into overdrive. So you can't push yourself. Now, for myself, as a musician, dancer, martial artist, and writer, I have benefited from using body movement to help heal myself and my mind when I start to get triggered. But often, I gotta switch it up, babies. Okay, these are not one size fit all. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Music and dance and martial arts can help me cut through the trauma to connect with my little girl self who pretended she was a magical fairy. My imagination and dancing outdoors were my gateways into another reality, the other reality of nature and the true quantum field creation field universe, because the world is the matrix, my friends, and the matrix world is all trauma-based mind control. But sometimes, in order to do that, I'm just way too wiped out. I'm too wiped out. I'm exhausted. My body just fucking hurts, and I just feel thrashed, and I can't move. So talking about my pain is a necessity. But when I was younger, talking about my pain left me feeling too vulnerable, especially because my English was terrible. So, I over-enunciate words and mispronounce words all the time. So what I would do instead, and I still highly recommend this because I do this as well, is I journal. So I write, I journal, I draw pictures, I make collages, I cuddled with my cats and my dogs. Now, as an aside, sadly, my mother's coldness was beyond the pale, dudes. And often I would come home from school only to discover that my pets were gone. Yes, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Boom. Another trauma, another loss for me to deal with. Trauma, my loves, requires a witness. Talking to a loved one, a mental health professional, and people who have gone through similar losses can help you feel less alone. Now, I've discovered recently that sometimes I just want to talk my ass off about everything and go on and on and on and on, particularly with the death of my stepdaughter, Angelina. Now, here are some FYI tips, my loves, for those of you who would like to step up in a more conscious, compassionate way to help a loved one going through some really challenging time, okay? Now, if you're trying to help someone who's been through trauma and someone who feels isolated, the most important thing is to be present and supportive. That is, wake yourself up, see yourself, see reality, exit the matrix, enter into your center screen, your awareness center, and hold space for that person. So before you hold space for that person, wake yourself up. That way you can be conscious and aware of what's going on. Now, offering this type of support doesn't require special training. It really doesn't. It doesn't require you to do anything, really. Often it just means being physically and emotionally there and present no matter what. What is crucial is that you feel relaxed and awake and aware, present enough to listen to whatever the traumatized person wants to share. And too often, people are worried about saying the wrong thing, which makes folks that you're trying to comfort want to shut down. I mean, we can feel this sort of, conflict, okay? Now, perhaps they're worried that mentioning something will stir some upsetting emotions, okay? Simply asking, my loves, how are you doing? And being willing to hear the truth and letting a loved one know you're just thinking about them goes a long way. Believe me, goes a long way to me. It says you aren't afraid to acknowledge their grief and trauma. Now, that being said, they might not want to delve into the details, at least not immediately. And you know what? That's okay. So don't force it. Don't push. Don't interrogate, don't interrupt. Give them your undivided attention. Turn off your fucking phone, okay? Turn off your phone. You lovers and friends can also offer support by being patient and sharing in life's ordinary pleasures, like taking a walk, a slow walk, not some kind of fucking marathon, or offering to cook, or simply sitting together or cuddling in silence. Please refrain from launching into your own story because it's bad timing on your part, okay? This is not about you, and you will come off as insensitive and dismissive and narcissistic, all about you. Now, for myself, I accept my divine and current emotional wavelength. Melancholy is the term my friend Michael coined. I'm in a deep, calm, dark brooding funk. The light seems shallow. There's sad chaos, tears and laughter, creative reality, a sensitivity mode. I don't need anyone. I got it. I'll just do it myself. Conditioning is a survival tactic, my love bugs, my boobalas. Okay? And you needed it to shield your heart from abuse, neglect, betrayal, and disappointment from those who could not or would not be there for you. From the parent who was absent and abandoned you by choice, or the parent who was never home from working 3 jobs to feed you and house you and your siblings. From the lovers who offered one-sided sexual intimacy and never offered a safe haven that honored your heart. From the friendships and family who always took more than they ever gave back to you. From all the situations when someone, a beloved, a friend, told you, we're in this together. I got you. I got your heart. I got your back. Then abandoned you, leaving you to pick up the pieces when shit got very real and very fucking ugly, leaving you to handle your part and their part. From all the lies and all the betrayals. You learned along the way, my loves, that you just couldn't really trust people, or that you can only trust people up to a certain point, okay? Extreme independence is a trust issue. It is not a virtue. It's a form of trauma-based mind control, which you learned. If I don't put myself in a situation where I rely on someone, I won't have to be disappointed when they don't show up for me or when they drop the ball, because they will always drop the ball eventually, right? Okay? We need to unwind that, unpack that, okay? You may even have been intentionally taught this protection strategy by generation of hurt ancestors who came before you. And I talked about those ancestors who so-called slept with the enemy to survive the imperialists who raped and pillaged and burned your great earth to the ground. Okay, now extreme independence is a preemptive strike against heartbreak. So you don't trust anyone, and you don't trust yourself either. You close your heart. You don't open your heart. You don't open to the possibility to choose people. To trust is to hope. To trust is to be vulnerable. Never again, you vow. But no matter how you dress it up, my loves, and display it proudly to make it seem like this level of independence, I don't need you, I got this, I'm good on my own, is what you've always wanted. In truth, it's your wounded, scarred, and broken heart behind a protective brick wall or thorn fence, an electrical fence perhaps. Impenetrable, nothing gets in, no hurt gets in, but no love can get in either. Now, use this default as a trigger to wake yourself up and know that you are no longer in a war zone, my loves. Fortresses and armor and weapons are for those in battle or who believe the battle is coming. Now, I know this one intimately. It's an automated trauma response, my loves. Allow it to be an invitation to wake yourself up and exit the matrix. Now, the good news is trauma that is acknowledged is trauma that is healing. Now, Jamila White wrote the following, and I read this recently, and it landed rightly in my heart. You are worthy of having support. You are worthy of having true loving partnership. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of having your heart held. You are worthy of being adored. You are worthy of being cherished. You are worthy to have someone say, you rest, I got this, and actually deliver that promise. You are worthy to receive. You are worthy to receive. You are worthy. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to bargain for it. You don't have to beg for it. You are worthy. Worthy simply because you exist. Okay, my loves, that is my speech. Please be tender and kind to yourselves and each other. Please help me grow my channel by giving this video a thumbs up and leaving a comment in the comments box below or in private. Please share this video with your communities, friends, family members, and on social media platforms you feel would benefit from this content. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, selecting the all settings so that the YouTube will let you know when I upload next. And if you find value, enjoy, or benefit from my content and videos, or at least entertained by them, won't you please consider supporting my work through a donation? My PayPal link is below, as is my coffee.com/Dakini Kiss link, or you can buy me a proverbial cup of coffee as a token of your appreciation. I thank you all so much for hanging out with me, with your participation and your focused attention. I really do appreciate it. I cannot do this work without you, and I do this for those of you, knowing that you are so much more than what the Matrix endeavors to relegate you and define you to only be. So until next time, my dear hearts, always act from love, outside the matrix from your center screen, composing a new reality. Let's quantum jump our lifelines and our lifetimes, going higher and higher and higher so that we can be the love that we are. We can share our love. We can create. We can make art, make music, and make love. And you can all help me repopulate the true quantum field creation field universe. Here's to love, truth, and beauty, my waking gods and goddesses, divine in the flesh. Mwah!